Welcome to the Intercut Podcast, the weekly show going over the TV, movies, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, he's not so bad, Astra. It's Arturo Zurita.
Coming from the two people, the one movie that slips away from us. That's the one thing with festival season. You go in, you watch all these incredible...
Yeah, that's the limit of my Astra commentary for this episode.
That's it, right? That's all we have to say about it because we haven't seen it. How is it that we go to a film festival, right? We've seen all these movies and people are like, cool, yeah, great. But have you seen Ad Astra? No, you haven't seen Ad Astra, have you? Everyone will see Ad Astra except you. I guess that's the price you have to pay. But man, have people hyped up Ad Astra for us?
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of the funny thing when you go to a film festival like this, especially for you and me who try to have an eye towards the future and see the things that are kind of not yet on the horizon, stuff like that. And then we come back and my dad was like, did you see the J-Lo movie?
Yeah. You're like, I've seen 50-something movies. Let me just get a little bit of a break. He's like, yeah, but the J-Lo movie. And you're like... I guess it never stops. You got to go to the next one. It's an
Oscar contender, though.
Yeah, it's an Oscar contender. And then there's the Ad Astra movie that people have just been head over heels for. So, and I refuse to catch it anywhere but IMAX because people told me. Fernando told me, he's like, don't catch it on the biggest screen. Well, the biggest screen showing starts in 10 minutes, and I got nothing until tomorrow. So we're recording this. So, yeah, it keeps getting pushed back a little bit, but man, I'm excited to see that one. I'm really excited to see that one. I wish that was on the what we've been watching, but so
Art mentioned him. He's joining us only in audio form. Unfortunately, this time he's part producer, part intern. He's a lot of sex appeal, but not on this episode. It's Fernando. Say what up, Fernando.
What's up, guys? It's been a minute. You know, I didn't go to TIFF with you guys. I felt a little bit left out, but thankfully I did see Ad Astra. So
you did. That's why you stayed at home. One of us needed to be in health to see Ad Astra.
Yeah. So I'll be the voice for that movie this episode. So
sounds good.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Gonna have to fill in some gaps for us. In a little bit, we'll talk about the Toronto International Film Festival, as well as the Emmy Awards. But first, make sure you're subscribed to the Intercut Podcast, either the video podcast on youtube.com/intercutpod or the audio podcast available on most podcatchers, including Spotify now, and also follow Intercut on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We are at IntercutPod. That's at IntercutPod. That's short for podcast. And we also are brought to you
by Mort & Co. Candles. Some of you guys have heard this over at Let Me Explain. We're good friends with them over there. And look at that. We got our first little sponsorship over here on Intercut. And it's going to be a running one. Quick shout out to them. We're going to have the links down below. This is... What's the best season, guys?
Fall.
Thank you. Zach, are you quiet over there? What's the best season?
I mean... I was hoping that you would say fall, but I was a little worried that our chemistry wasn't going to line up.
Dude, there's a reason why we should have a podcast together.
We should host a podcast.
Fall is the best season, and Mort & Co. Candles, good friends of us, they're based in California, and they do candles for like literally everything. A lot of Disney-style candles, a lot of seasonal candles. This one right here is Pumpkin King, so it's not just seasonal. And we know those fans are big. Who's the Pumpkin King? If I'm not mistaken, I think it's from... Nightmare Before Christmas. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, can you smell it? Zach, over in New York, can you smell it? Hey, over in Florida, can you smell it? They ain't got that good much. They ain't got internet over there in Florida right now, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to smell it at a certain point. I'm gonna light this bad boy up at gladly.
Yeah, Art's been hyping these candles up to me. I'm excited to get my hands on them soon. You can head over to Etsy.com and search for Mort & Co. for all the different types of Disney designs they've got, including Mistress of Evil and the Redhead, which we were talking about.
The Star Wars one right now, that's one of the big ones that we've been arguing for. There's a light side and there's a dark side.
Oh, that's dope.
You're the big Star Wars fan. Whichever one you think is better, let us know.
I might have to pick one up in case another hurricane hits and my power goes out. Light them up.
It's going to be supplied by the dark side. But shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to Mort & Co. Thanks again. So make sure you check them out. Art, before we get into TIFF, before we get into the Oscars, before we get into the Emmys, let's start the way we start every week here on Intercut. What you been watching?
I'm trying to pull it up over here because I want to say that I mentioned to you gentlemen once before. There is a show, we finally caught the season finale last night. It's this little show on HBO called A Black Lady Sketch Show. Please tell me you've even heard of it.
Of course.
it?
There's a few people that I like who are involved with the show. Ashley Nicole Black, one of the main cast members, is on Full Frontal with Sam B.
Really?
Robin Thede was the head writer of Larry Wilmore's previous talk show, which has been canceled.
I remember that one.
Yeah, the nightly show. And I know one of the writers, Amber Ruffin, just got a new deal, but she's been one of my favorite parts of Late Night with Seth Meyers for a while. So there's a lot of really good talent in this show. Mm-hmm. I was excited to see what they were coming up with. You like the show, though?
Love the show.
Love?
No.
Awesome.
This is a sketch show that has running Easter eggs. What the... What?
Whoa.
There's lore.
Yeah.
This isn't just SNL sketch. There's lore in here. It ends on a cliffhanger. This is a sketch show. How does it end on a cliffhanger? How do they introduce some of the best segments at the end? I'm going to talk about the show in a little bit. I had no idea that the 4 ladies in this, because I'm brand new to most of them, other than Insecure, Issa Rae comes in for a couple things, because I know she's producer. You have a lot of other really big, I think...
Yeah, you get people like Lena Waithe, I think, shows up on this.
First of all, did you know she wrote the Slim movie coming out?
Yeah, Queen and Slim.
I had no idea she wrote that, dude. And she wrote dude, she's way more talented than just being the actress in the Aziz show. She is. Yeah. She's got some things in her pocket. I had no idea that those were the two yesterday at the Emmys. The nomination for Seth Meyers and for Samantha, or who'd you say? What's the other?
Sam B.
Whether that history was going to be made. They kept mentioning, is history going to be made as the first black female writer to win for the sketch show. And all I was thinking was, there's 4 women who should be nominated for this. Now, I don't know if it's because of, the dates.
Yeah, I don't know if the show qualified for this Emmys cycle, but it is a little bit under the radar, so I don't know if it would necessarily break through. I think it's only like a 6-episode first season. I'm hoping that its second season maybe is a little bit longer.
That's my only gripe, is that it's too damn short. There are jokes in this that if you pause, you read it, and you go, it's for a specific niche, It's called Black Lady Sketch Show for a reason, and if you, for whatever reason, have never interacted with black women in your life, start doing so, because the genius in the writing that they have here, a lot of the jokes, unless you know what a lot of it means, Like, if you don't know the situation of a hot air balloon ride, when you just got a new weave, and if you don't understand that at all, then maybe the joke's not going to connect with you, but that's not on the joke's fault, right? There are some things that they do in this show where you don't even realize that... Okay, I'm trying to not spoil some of these sketches. You'll have an entire segment only to realize that the joke was never the joke. That joke was in a snow globe of another joke. I don't know how else to pitch it better than that. I don't know how else to... I'll spoil some of the jokes later on for you, gentlemen. I don't want to spoil it over here. But you'll be watching a sketch, and you're like, dang, this is going out of... Oh, the whole thing was a commercial. It was a commercial for that. Oh, that is so disrespectful. And there's 3 jokes in one sketch. They feed you with this show. I can't recommend it enough. Some jokes don't hit as much as others. Some of the I would say, impressions maybe are a little too overboard, but there's some nuance to these jokes, and like I said, there's lore to them. I was actually invested to see the next episode, not for the jokes, but to see where the story was going to advance. I love it. It's great. Highly recommended. You guys haven't seen anything?
Nope.
I just the ads for it, which are very funny, but no, not the full episodes yet.
They show you bits in the ad that are only funny after you've been invested into the sketch. Black Lady Courtroom? That's what they end the show on. And it's like, y'all had one. Like, like when the movie's about to wrap up, and sometimes you go, sometimes the movie's about to wrap up, and you're like, it's perfect. It's perfect. This is the best way to end it. Yes, I love this show so much. I'm really surprised how much I like it.
Do you like it more than I Think You Should Leave, the other sketch show that debuted this year that I think we both really liked?
It's a valid question. That's all I'll put it. I'm not going to answer it. But the fact that... Remember how I said, like, Heath and Ledger and Phoenix? It's a valid debate to have. This is a valid debate to have. And I feel that fans of one another, even though one's way more white and the other one's way more black,
more white.
You definitely would appreciate it. Like, I can't wait to talk about it specifically with you, Zach. which is really weird because you would think I'd talk about other people, but you specifically would get a lot of the jokes. But even if you're not even if you're not black, there's so many jokes in there that it's just like they're so creative. These women are so creative. The opening title is a Megan Thee Stallion song done in a Muppet style. The clash of tones is so funny, and you're like, they should have had this show years ago.
Awesome.
What the hell? They should have had this show years ago. I'm glad they have it now.
I'm excited to check out Black Lady Sketch Show on HBO. Fernando, how about you? What have you been watching? Has it been Ad Astra, or are you going to hit us with something else?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about Ad Astra, going completely different from what Art brought up. But yeah, Ad Astra came out last weekend. It's getting a ton of great buzz from almost everyone I've seen really online.
The boy James Gray directed it.
James Gray. I don't know if you guys have seen Lost City of Z, which I think was his last movie. I wasn't like crazy about it. I thought it was good, but I wasn't like super impressed by it. But
I agree with you there, but I'm curious if you have the same opinion as me. It has one of the dopest last shots of any movie I think so,
yeah. I like the scale that he brought in Lost City of Z, he brought to Ad Astra, because this movie's like, it's not a blockbuster. Like it had a decent budget, but it's nothing like Interstellar type budget. But this movie seems like an epic.
Do you feel like you can tell the difference in the budget between a movie like this and a movie like Interstellar?
I don't think so, because really like all the effects were like pretty top notch, to be honest. Like there was never a moment where I was like, ooh, that green or like that CGI was kind of wonky. Everything was great. Speaking of Interstellar and Nolan, Nolan's longtime collaborator, Hoyt van Hoytma, is the cinematographer on this. So that makes it even like the visuals are insane. I mean, Brad Pitt, it's great. I mean, he's getting a lot of buzz for Once Upon a Time, which I think might land him an Oscar nomination more than this.
He's not doing any press for it, okay? All right, so it may slip, okay?
Yeah, I doubt it, but I think his performance in this is really good. It's up there as one of my favorites of the year. Definitely, you guys have to catch it, and definitely see it in IMAX.
Yeah, that's again, like I said. The reason why I haven't caught it is because I only want to watch it in one theater, the biggest IMAX theater I know we have here. So I've just been waiting on it, but I've heard nothing but great things. And thank you for not telling me anything else, because some people keep telling why you get really emotional in it, and I don't know what it is yet. I've heard some people talk about the masculinity aspect of it. I just want to go in with it because I don't think it's gonna hit me like Parasite. But some people have hinted that it's gonna hit you. I'm
gonna say is the last 30 minutes. All I'm gonna say is the last 30 minutes are a ride.
I hear it's that last First Man, like the First Man necklace. But
similar.
But if that didn't hit you, that this one will. Maybe you didn't have a daughter, but everyone has. Yeah. That's all. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. Check it out.
All right. Yeah, Art and I are definitely eager to check out Ad Astra.
Back, guys. I'm gonna go watch it.
Go now.
Yeah, maybe we'll be back next week with thoughts on that one. For me, Art, our boy Raphael Bob Wasberg has a new show.
I hate when you tweet something that I don't know what it is, and I search it up, and then you go, has me super invested, but you're not even done with the season, and I see there's another season left, and someone tells you, just wait till it gets better. I'm like, Zach, I don't have another show to watch right now. I'm behind.
So if just the involvement of BoJack Horseman creator Raphael Bob Wasberg isn't enough to entice you, this is a series he co-created with Kate Purdy, the woman who wrote the Times Arrow episode of BoJack Horseman. Do you remember that one, the Alzheimer's one with with BoJack's mother,
where everything and he doesn't know when he's old. Yes, I do remember this one.
Art, could I interest you in an entire show that takes that idea and morphs it out into a whole series?
What's the name of the show?
It's called Undone. It's an 8-episode show that's on Amazon now. It stars Rosa Salazar, who I was like, you look familiar. Who are you? Who are you?
Isn't she animated again?
Yes, so that's the thing about the show. That's really interesting visually. It's rotoscoped. For those of you who have heard of that but might not remember, it's the thing that Richard Linklater has used for his movies like Waking Life and A Scanner Darkly, where what you do is you actually film the actors and then it's a layer drawn on top of it. So it's kind of like tracing, but then you're able to also accentuate certain things. And with a show like this, a show that dives in and out of different realities and dreams and scenes and blends together different moments, the art is able to morph around these characters in really beautiful ways that kind of are similar to things that people will be familiar with from the construction of that Time Flies episode in BoJack Horseman, where suddenly you're in one scene and everything shifts around you and it's a different conversation happening.
That sounds too up my alley. Too up my alley. How long are the episodes?
Half hour each, like 27-ish minutes, those kind of things.
You've seen those.
You can watch this in an afternoon.
You've seen the thing where it says the tweet that says, "Explain to me what would give you the goosebumps." What you just said. Someone had tweeted out a 94-minute movie. I was like, that sounds about right. For me, it's 30-minute. How many episodes?
8 episodes. Yo, man, it please.
Did you finish it?
Oh yeah. It is really good. I will say that my favorite episode is the second episode. It's just such a marvel of writing and structure, and the way that the plot kind of keeps sort of folding in on itself. It's one of my favorite episodes of TV all year. But I think the show does a really great job of taking this very interesting, far-out idea and then grounding it in something very human, something that you can really empathize with. It's not necessarily what I expected from the show at the start, but it's one of my favorite shows of the year. Easy. And it's just maybe the most thought-provoking thing I've seen since Russian Doll.
Two questions. Do you remember the movie Waltz of Bashir or Waltz to Bashir?
Yeah.
Was that also rotoscoped?
I don't know
was that just
if
the
that
animation
is.
for there?
I think that just might be the animation style.
Yeah.
Okay, well, shout out that movie.
Fernando, Google that.
Yeah, Google it real quick. Let me know what the type of animation was there. But the second one was, do you remember when we recorded with Amanda halfway through the year and talked about our favorite shows? And we already had a complete top 10. What the hell? What the literal hell? It's going to be the end of the year trying to come up with stuff.
It's going to be tough. I don't think I had seen Fleabag then.
Emmy-winning Fleabag?
We will get to Fleabag in a moment. We'll get to a lot of other Emmy-winning shows in just a few moments. But let us know what you've been watching in the comments on YouTube or by shooting us an email. The address for that is intercutpod@gmail.com. Once again, intercutpod@gmail.com. We're going to move on to a segment about TIFF because there's just so much to talk about when it comes to the Toronto International Film Festival.
Yep.
Art and I both were in attendance at it, saw a bunch of movies. Art more than me, but this is one of the really important fall film festivals in that it sets the plate for awards season by debuting a bunch of interesting films. I recently looked into the statistics, and 9 of the last 10 Best Picture winners did screen at TIFF. Yep. So there is a 90% chance we've seen the Best Picture winner. I
started describing it. It's not just a blessing to be there, because I've been calling it the Woodstock. 2019 better than 2014 when it comes to films this past decade. The film stock of film festivals within this last decade, because it's just been an insane amount of movies that we're going to remember for a long time. That I was calling it's a blessing to go to these film festivals. Nah, this one was a privilege to be able to be there to see some of these movies early. Like you said, it's like, is this where we caught the winner? Right. We have Fernando here to talk about some of from the outside perspective.
Yeah, because we
do have an entire, also to plug it in, Alina, Zach, and I, we did it huge, the most in-depth conversation we could have. We've done some of these where we're like, oh, let's just cut around some. No, we tried giving us, and we still feel like we didn't talk enough about TIFF. So let's go. Let's get into this.
We talked about a bunch of our favorites in a Let Us Explain that's also here on the channel. But, Fernando, he got to sit in Florida and be jealous of our TIFF adventures and follow along.
Hey, he lived, okay? It was very dangerous in Florida during that time, and he's okay. He lived to tell his story.
Now I got questions.
Yeah, so let us know,
let's
like,
see.
what was your perception of the festival, and we'll let you know what we thought from the ground.
All right, so my perception of TIFF this year was that it's probably been like the most stacked TIFF in a while. Like
Remember
everyone
Travis
was
Scott had
fighting.
those shirts that said "Wish you were here." I'm gonna send you one from
I'm
TIFF.
surprised you guys are alive because I was hearing like people were fighting trying to get into Parasite screenings and like other screenings.
So I'll just tell my quick Parasite anecdote because I'm going to see it very soon at the New York Film Festival, and I figured while I'm in Toronto, I might as well see movies that I am not about to go see in New York.
Let me give you the one-line setup. There was only 3 screenings for Parasite, only on the first week, and what happens?
Every single day, they keep adding Parasite screenings.
Wow.
Every single day, they're like, "There's so much demand. Here's another. Zach, why don't you see it? Please buy a ticket, please."
I was tempted. I was like, a third time.
I ended up having to turn down Parasite like 4 times by the end of the festival.
Say that again.
I ended up having to turn down Parasite 4 times by the end of the festival. I will see it in a week.
I'll see it in a week. He's got it in New York. But like, wow.
I don't really want to talk about it anymore.
And then there's still so much more. We can talk about every movie we're hyped for, and then there's still the winners.
Art, you saw Parasite. I think you should at least mention it in brief because I believe it's your favorite movie of Toronto.
I have so much faith in this movie. I'm calling it a cliche already. It's a cliche. It's a cliche. It's like Pulp Fiction. It's a part of our vernacular for the rest of our lives. I believe it's going to be, as I said, what's going to help bridge those people who may not be too keen with subtitled films. And this is going to be the one they're going to be like, yo, that's okay. Let me watch some more of those Korean films. Let me watch some more of those French films, some of the other stuff. A big part of that is going to be the responsibility that the Academy has. This is where I feel the Academy has a responsibility. You may not give it the award, but that better be one of the 10 or the 9 or 8 or 7.5, whatever they decide to do this year. Whether it wins, whether it doesn't, it's going to have a lasting impact like Shawshank. It's going to have a lasting impact like Pulp Fiction. I believe it's the Citizen Kane of Korea, whether you want to see it like that or not. And I'm just saying this in the sense of y'all have not heard anyone who's complained about it. Y'all have only heard people complain that that's the only Korean movie they're watching this year.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
8 more days.
Yes
I see it in 8 more days.
This isn't a matter of whether it's good or bad. It's did it hit you as much as everyone's going to know this movie. This is a cliche movie. It's not even out yet. I want this to just be the standard. It's going to get to a point where, it's just going to be too big for its own good.
Yeah.
Fernando said something a bit earlier that I'm going to circle back to, in that this felt like one of the most stacked TIFFs in a while. And from my perception of that, like, it feels like there's always a few movies that kind of premiere and sort of fizzle out. You know, there's some things that get hyped up and then are ultimately disappointments.
Which one?
And I kind of felt like the only two that happened to this time was Lucy in the Sky and The Goldfinch.
Really? Okay.
Right? But just about every other big TIFF premiere, Parasite not being one of them, since Parasite technically premiered at Cannes, was kind of well received.
Yeah,
very
I was
well
surprised
received.
by that. Yeah, I think the only other one that comes to mind that was kind of like lukewarm was like Harriet. Like performance aside from Cynthia Erivo, I heard it was like a basic biopic, but everything else like.
And even then, that's still going to get its push here and there.
Yeah.
Like Lucy is kind of the only one that sounds like Dead on Arrival.
Yeah, and the thing, I think also with Harriet, there was kind of a feeling that that's what we were getting based on the initial trailers. So I don't know if that was quite the letdown that everybody was feeling.
Yeah.
Whereas people came with knives ready to attack the Goldfinch.
Yeah.
And same thing goes for Lucy in the Sky. As soon as we heard there was no diaper.
Yeah. yeah. Did y'all saw the Instagram, right? For
Ansel?
Yes.
Bro, Alina and I were watching it. We were like,
funny, man.
Was he joking or is... I couldn't, like, I saw it.
I don't know, man.
I saw him say that and I was like, yo, that's like really sad. When he said the thing about his mom and I was like, man, because I haven't seen it yet. I was like, you know what? I won't even use stubs. I won't even use the A-list. I'll go and pay my own ticket. On a Tuesday when it's $5, but I'm going to go support this man. And he's like, my mom doesn't usually like my movies, but she liked this one.
Oh.
And he looks straight into your soul. That's what I hated. He's like, and it made me kind of like it too. Tickets on sale everywhere. And then he said that, and I was like, was this an ad? Because then he posts all those selfies of himself.
Maybe he's a genius. Yeah.
I think he's smarter than we give him credit for.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Fernando, those were some of the movies that I'm sure you weren't jealous of us for having seen. Were there others that you were more jealous of?
What do you want to know about Uncut Gems? What do you want to know about Waves? What do you want to know about Lighthouse?
I got a couple questions.
What you got?
And since you brought those two up, I was going to make you guys fight. Since you like both of them very much, the A24 battle between Waves and Uncut Gems, which one are you picking?
This man doesn't know how long our relationship has been. Zach, you can say mine for me, which is also yours.
It's Uncut Gems,
baby.
man.
What are you talking about? We're way more in sync than you think we are.
Because on Twitter, you were saying, like, I'm still thinking about Waves. Like,
I'm still thinking about Waves. That was going to go up there if it wasn't for her being robbed. I'm still thinking about Waves. I'm also still thinking about Uncut Gems. I don't know what to tell you. It goes like this. It goes Portrait. It goes, Parasite, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Uncut Gems. As my top of the year, not TIFF.
Okay.
Year. I don't think that's changing.
Okay.
I'll say this about your hypothetical A24 battle. I think one thing that is working in Uncut Gems' favor for me right now in particular is that it feels much more like a complete thought. It's a movie that begins and it ends. And that is not a criticism of Waves.
Yeah.
Because I think Waves is doing something very intentional in its structure. I know it's doing something intentional in its structure because otherwise it would be crazy. But it's a more challenging package.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're both movies that are a lot. They give you a lot. But I can talk to you much more clearly about my thoughts on Uncut Gems.
Easily.
Also partially because I've seen it twice. Waves, I don't...
Did you know this? I
didn't know.
Did you know this? Okay, let me give you two stories right here. The first is a movie called The Lighthouse. Karsten Runquist from the Runquist Karsten channel decides, hey, I'm going to go see The Lighthouse again. He saw it twice. The second time, though, we see it with our boy, Robert Pattinson, sitting right there. I was watching The Lighthouse. Watching him in the lighthouse. Bro, he would twitch and I would know, yo, it's about to get crazy. And Carson's like, yeah, I saw it. He saw it at Cannes, he saw it again. Yeah. He loves that movie so much, it's his number one of the year. Hated it. Or not hated it. I keep saying hated it, but people keep not realizing that I'm just half joking with there.
It's not Art's type of movie.
It's like
you hated the experience of going through it.
Best example here. Fernando, what was the first thing you said when I said it? It wasn't my favorite.
Was it like more Suspiria or Climax?
And you said the first thing you said was, I'm even more excited that you didn't like it. That has literally become the thing with everyone on LME. They're like, oh, thank God it's not in the top 10. If the moment was in the top 10, they'll be like, oh, great. Zach decides, you know what? I still got my uncut ticket because we had the extra. We had all got uncut
all
tickets.
festival long. I was waiting. Like, maybe I'll exchange this for something, but I couldn't get myself to part with it.
So he got to see it early on Tuesday. I want to say
it was my first and my last movie of TIFF.
Wow,
isn't that beautiful? It was our last two, but it was like his beginning and his end. And honestly, I don't even know. This man comes up to me. He's like, He gave me 7 pitches. He goes, it's the most Jewish movie I've ever seen. He goes, they don't stop talking. I was like, I don't stop talking. He goes, it's unrelenting. Dude, it's got people playing themselves. I got NBA players and
artists.
Singers, artists. And I was like, what are you talking? I watched the movie. I was like, Zach, you didn't tell me it has this. And it has this. Wow.
Yeah, there's so much to like about Uncut Gems.
I really like Good
and
Time.
I'm also...
I love this one.
I was just about to ask.
People who have seen me talk on this podcast know that I really, really love Punch Drunk Love. I have a deep connection with like that movie and Adam Sandler's performance in this, and this feels so much like a weird mirror of that.
Yes.
They're not the same performance by any means. Yeah, this is the angry, tense side of it.
If he yelled in Punch Drunk,
right down to the blue suit. He wears a blue suit in this movie, which I have to think is intentional.
The Safdies do a lot of things where they're winking at the camera without winking at the camera, and I was like, oh, y'all just going to create your version of breaking the fourth wall. I gotcha. I can guarantee that that's one of them, too. They know you know it's that. They know you know.
Now, you asked us for a fight, and that's not what we ultimately gave you. If I can throw a couple punches in Waves' favor for a second, I will say that I think Waves is a much more challenging movie, which is saying something because the Safdies make very challenging movies. And as somebody who watches a lot of movies, Art and I watch a lot of movies, like, you got to kind of just take your hat off to some of the chances that Trey Edward Schultz is taking in this movie. There's like some shifts that, you know.
Can you do that in a movie is what we said in our minds.
Well, okay.
There's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, I've never seen somebody try to do this. I've never seen somebody use this to this effect before. So I'm really stunned by Waves, but I ultimately really, really loved Uncut Gems.
There's some things that you can say about, like, Waves does it, and you can come out mad because you're like, what? That's not what movies should do. And then later on, you'll find yourself going, hey, you know what's so good about Waves? It does things movies shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Like, you hate it at first, and then
for some people, it's going to be, like, awful.
Break.
You know, they're going to... There's going to be these shifts in either the way the movie is shown or the way the movie progresses plot-wise, and they're just going to be, I'm out. For me, I gave in, and I was like, take me wherever you're going, because I'm just along for the ride.
Dude, it's like Place Beyond the Pines, but for the new millennium. Like, this is such a youngsters movie, if I were to say it any other way. It's meant for the youngsters.
Interesting.
I don't know what else you want to add, because then we're just going to be spoiling stuff, and I don't want to.
I guess I just have one question about Waves, because I remember when it was first, like, announced, like, you know, Trey Edwards is making this movie with Lucas Hedges and Sterling K. Brown, and people were saying it was like a musical. Is it a musical, or is it just like music driven?
That's so interesting. I remember people talking about that, and I forgot it until now. Like, it slipped my mind when I went to see it, but
he made a musical.
The thing. He kind of did.
Okay.
And no one
it's
sings,
not,
but they do.
Okay.
It's not a musical in the way that you're thinking about it, but music is so important. Yeah. It's so important.
That's very interesting.
I have a Waves playlist. Okay.
I'll say that too. Yeah, that's the best way. You call it Waves playlist. I just call it my original playlist. That's what scared the hell out of me.
Yeah. What's he doing stealing from my iTunes?
One of the best things to do when you're watching this movie is make sure you sit with a friend or anyone who really builds the experience by hitting you on your knees going,
oh, that's good.
Bro, that's Radiohead. Bro, that's this. Like that. Wow. You have to have that. As soon as we walked out, I got to see it with Zach, I got to see it with Alina, right? But as soon as he walked out, who's the first person you said you couldn't wait to see it with? Zach.
Wait, what did I say?
It's a lot more, you know what it is. Come on.
Oh,
yeah,
Caitlin,
okay,
of course.
Good. I was like, I can't say her name before you. Yeah, like he came out and he's like, there's so many. There's a specific line with Lucas Hedges, Zach. There's a specific line with Lucas Hedges in the car. Fernando, I'm just going to say it to you, and I'm going to say this to anyone who's seen me talk about Lucas Hedges. I liked him. I thought he was the best part of the movie.
Wow. Okay. I'm a big Lucas Hedges fan, but I know Art hasn't been.
He tends not to be.
I hate Lucas Hedges. I had to go see him, and you know this. This isn't like a hyperbole. This is the actual thing that happened. When Zach said, you want to go see him at Broadway, I was like, I'm going to give him one chance to see him in Broadway to see if he's that bad in person.
I thought he was pretty good.
But I say this to be consistent. As to say, I loved him in this movie. Oh my goodness. And there was a line that Zach was laughing, and I was laughing so hard. And I want the movie to be out so I could just send this little gif of this line that he says in a car. It's so goofy, but it's you and it's everyone in that theater. It's everyone in that theater.
Yeah, there are moments that happened in Waves that I have related to maybe more than like in any other moments in the movies I saw at TIFF.
Nice.
But aside from the A24 movies, what else stood out to you?
Yeah, so I was going to ask you guys, because we all know like the big players that went, like Joker and Parasite, Jojo Rabbit. What's one that's like under the radar that you would pick? Maybe like a foreign film or something? Because I got Art's list right here.
Yeah, pick a country.
I'm helping pick a country. Let's go France, like besides Portrait. I think there was like a couple like Les Mis or.
Okay, yeah, you said it. Yeah, Les Mis was really good. It's really good. We keep saying it's got that energy. There was two things that kept running through the festival. A lot of it was youth versus older people. That again comes with ways. We realized, okay, depending on how much you know this music, you might like it. If you don't, we've been having this discussion on whether there's a condemnation to the music or not, because some people have noted that. I kind of felt it, but then I also felt to my playlist, so I don't know what that means.
Right. There's clearly some filmmakers who have an understanding of modern life, and there's actually, it's funny because there's 3 movies at this festival that use Instagram in a way that I've never really seen Instagram used ever in a movie. Les Mis is one of those movies, surprisingly.
Oh, okay. Yes, that is one of those movies, and it has a third act that goes left, right, Dem, conservative, liberal. No, it's young versus I'm sick and tired of the old. It's great. I keep calling that one. Well, give yours first, Zach, because his is
Do the Right Thing.
And mine's Lehane meets Training Day. Let's see, what else is from France that I can think of? La Belle Époque, I believe, is also from France. Beautiful movie. It has to do kind of like Westworld, where you recreate something. Well, this is a guy who recreates anything for anyone. You want to be in the Victorian times? We'll get it down to a T. He just so happens to have a surrogate father, a guy who raised him, who's having some marital issues, and decides to recreate the day he met his wife. Whoa. But the actress playing his wife just so happens to be the actress who he's having problems with because they're dating. And it's really weird to see. Dude, this is a little bit of... what were the ones, Zach, if you can remember what I keep mentioning it as? Alina called it a little bit of Truman Show-ish. A little bit of Synecdoche,
you were saying it's sort of the opposite of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Because he wants to remember her. It's not better than any of those movies, Synecdoche, Truman, Eternal Sunshine. But if you're a fan of those, when this becomes available, watch it. Yeah. When this becomes available, watch it. There's a point in the movie where you're like, is this an act or not? You forget whether you're in it, whether you're not. It's beautiful. Definitely put that movie on your radar. I'm trying to think some of the other ones. Name another country.
Germany. Did you see anything from Germany?
I don't know if we had anything.
Or something in Spanish? Anything like Emma? Or I don't know if you guys caught that.
I don't know. Did I see a Spanish one? I'm trying to see, because I also do have some screeners that I've yet to see. There was one in Spanish called The Sleepwalkers. I can't speak to it fully because Alina saw it, but she gave me to let me explain. Alina saw a couple movies, and they were all in Spanish, Zana being another one. I'll mention those.
Oh, Zana.
Because I obviously trust her opinion a little bit. Yeah. Zana and Sleepwalkers. She described those movies to me. I said, enough. Let me watch it. I have to wait for it because the festival's over, but I said, enough. Let me watch it. Zana and that. She was describing these stories to me. I was like, these are stories that need to be told to a wider audience.
Interesting. You got anything, Zach? I mean, like
Art.
What's up?
I saw a German movie.
What'd you see?
You want me to talk about it now?
What is it?
The Raft.
What other questions do you have?
Should we wait? Should we wait?
All right.
Let's wait.
I'm going to give a shout out to some Middle Eastern films. Sun Mother, definitely go see it. It's a very interesting tale of a mom who has to get rid of her son in order to be able to marry, and that son ends up in a deaf school. He ain't deaf. That's really intriguing. Disco, maybe this is German, I'm not sure. Disco, pretty much look at it this way. Imagine you're a girl and you have this like dance competition, you're not doing that well, but you're very religious. What if religion was a drug instead? And when you stop getting the high of the first wave of religion, you get into more conservative religion and more conservative until it turns into Midsommar. Gotta say this one always. Makoto Shinkai's Weathering with You. Oh, yeah. I Will Be Killed If I Don't. Again, not as great as Your Name, but I feel like a lot of Your Name fans know this. It's still very cutesy, and you will remember Senpai. Some of the other ones that I do want to mention here from another country. I think those are the main ones from other countries. You Will Die at 20 is an African film. You Will Die at 20 is an African film about this kid who right off the womb gets, in this small town in Africa, gets cursed. I want to say it's Africa, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me. Because the religious person says he's going to die at 20. And that changes how everyone at school, the people in the town, look at this boy. Because they really do believe he's going to die at 20 to the point that they're counting down the days. Final one I'll mention is The Platform, because you asked for a Spanish film. I did see one. The Platform is picked up by Netflix. Very intriguing story of kind of like Cube meets Exam, where everyone is staying in different platforms. They go up to 100 and something levels, maybe more. I don't know. Food comes down, and they start realizing the lower you are, the people up on top will eat everything and will not leave you anything.
Interesting.
Leave some gaps open.
So that movie, You Will Die at 20, you were just mentioning, is Sudanese. So yes, it's from Africa.
Yeah, those were Corpus Christi is another one, but I only saw half the screener yet. Shout out to the PR team. Shout out to the PR teams who know what they're doing.
Shout out to Poland.
That's not what I'm going to say. And that Poland submission is playing at Chicago. If you're in Chicago to watch it, I've only seen half of it. Have you ever seen the movie A Prophet?
Yeah.
If you're a fan of that movie, bro, this movie's crazy. I've only seen half of it. I've only seen that. Zach has a screen for it too. Zach, you need to catch it when you can.
Yeah, definitely.
Those were some of the smaller ones.
All right.
For me, there's a couple smaller ones that I just want to mention, not as many as Art, but I saw this film Synchronic, and that's the new film from Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who have done a couple films together that have gotten some buzz despite being kind of smaller. They did Spring, they did The Endless. This is kind of cool because I think a lot of times film festivals tend to have more pristine movies or more delicate movies, more thought, like they try to elicit thoughtfulness or whatever. They're not necessarily visceral, but this was a very fun, visceral, entertaining movie, a low budget sci-fi that has a pretty inventive approach to its kind of world, and I was just with it. I was talking to Art about this on our Let Us Explain, but it's one of those movies where it's not like something happens and the plot kicks into gear. It's like a few different things are going on, and then all of a sudden you find yourself on the adventure. And I love movies that kind of like pull you in that way that you're not expecting. I was really, really satisfied with this one. I'm sure there'll be people who like have some plot hole issues with whatever, but it's fun. It's a really fun movie, and it's one of those movies that I think a lot of people will enjoy, even if you're not necessarily like into the more awardsy type of movies. This is a movie for everybody that was at this festival.
It's really jealous. I'm a huge fan of those directors. Not as jealous as not being able to catch this next one till 2020.
Yeah, Bad Education. So I don't.
Bad Education.
So you were talking about like under the radar movies, and I don't know if we can even call this under the radar after HBO bought it for like what 20 million. Yeah. Some people are reporting.
When the deal came out of under nowhere, no one knew that. It came out of nowhere.
But this is another one from Corey Findley, who is the guy who directed Thoroughbreds. He's got a particular eye that I think kind of works well for these sort of like subtly comedic worlds where it's the way that people talk to one another that kind of you get the comedy from it, the little like ticks in politeness and things that you want to say but you don't feel comfortable saying. I think it works really well, particularly because Hugh Jackman is giving a really funny performance at the center of this as a guy who is trying very desperately to make the public see one face while his private face is a completely different one. It's a story about public school funds being embezzled. It's got a killer Allison Janney supporting performance with a great Long Island accent. I totally dig this movie. I'm a little disappointed that it'll take so long to get to us. I think they announced it won't be out until 2020, but keep Bad Education on your radar.
I was glad to hear good things. Because I was scared it was going to be like Jackman's last movie that was supposed to be like Oscar bait, where he played that like political guy.
Again, that was one of the reasons.
The politician or something.
And that also premiered at TIFF, and I was like, what if this is just that again? But then I also thought, as I was telling Zach, well, it is also Corey Finley, and the last Corey Finley movie I saw at Sundance didn't come out till 2 years later. The same thing's not going to happen. It happened here, dude. Now I got to wait 2 years practically to watch this movie.
Fernando, do you have any other questions for us, or should I?
I got two more questions since.
All right, let's make them quick.
Since you brought up, Zach, that a lot of the Best Picture winners have played at TIFF for the last couple of years, do you guys think you saw the winner? Like, not the one that you want to win, because obviously you want Parasite to win, But from the bunch, if you don't think it's Parasite, do you think the winner has a good chance of being within those?
There's only 2. And if you don't think it has a chance, maybe, but no one has seen these 2. 1917, am I mistaken?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Irishman. That's it. Those are the only other 2.
Okay.
In my opinion, unless something else comes out of nowhere. Unless Noah Centineo has a Christmas release for Netflix up his sleeve, I think that's it.
Okay.
Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to think that a few movies that were there are in the race for a Best Picture nomination, particularly movies like Parasite, Jojo Rabbit, a movie that I thought was really good, Ford v Ferrari, just a really solid, fun movie. I could even see a world where maybe Uncut Gems or Waves gets in there, although I wouldn't predict either of those movies at this moment.
So. I'm hoping Uncut, though. I'm really hoping.
I don't know if the ultimate winner played here. Okay. And that's partially because I wonder if things are aligning for this to be the year where Quentin Tarantino kind of gets, a legacy award.
Whoa,
and
think so? I haven't even really...
It's potential. It's an idea that's out there,
but you're
who knows? I mean,
dude.
Something that neither of us have mentioned because neither of us saw it at Toronto, but a movie that got really great reviews here was Marriage Story, and I think that's another one that's a threat for Best Picture too. So, I can't say for certain that the Best Picture winner played here, but there's going to be several for sure nominees for Best Picture.
I think so. He gave me a stat that it's played here for the last 10 years, so I want to say yes. The odds are in the favor for TIFF, but regardless of, if we've yet to see the Best Picture winner, 2019 is better than 2014. Oh my goodness.
Well, my last question would be the one that got away. Like, what's one movie that you couldn't catch at TIFF that you might catch?
We just said it. Marriage Story. He's catching it in New York. I'm catching it in Chicago.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for that one.
But there's also
I've heard really great things about it.
I've heard really great things. That's probably the biggest one, but there's a bunch of other smaller ones. A lot of people keep...
Parasite for me too, but again, I'm catching it soon.
And there's tiny ones like Gondola has been a big one that people...
Oh, you know what's one? Because Art, you saw this and I didn't see it. Knives Out. I kind of wrote off Knives Out coming in the days leading up to its premiere, and then everybody seemed to love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I heard really good things about it.
Yep.
I liked Ryan Johnson a lot, so I kind of, now that's near the top of my list.
Nice.
I think you'll really like it.
All right, so that's about it for our TIFF wrap-up. Thank you, Fernando, for feeding us some of those questions. Hopefully we didn't make you too jealous, but we got to talk about...
Fernando forgot to ask this!
Yeah, let us know if there's anything from TIFF that you were curious about in the comments below, or emailing us, intercutpod@gmail.com. Reach out to us, IntercutPod, on social media, whether that's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. We'll get back to you or maybe mention it on a future show. But let's spend some time on the Emmys. The Emmys were last night. We're typing on the Monday, and a lot of TV that we love was awarded. A lot of TV that we love was snubbed. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things, but I want to start with Fleabag because it had a very big night, winning Outstanding Comedy Series over Barry, over Russian Doll, over Veep, and over Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Phoebe Waller-Bridge also won the Outstanding Writing Award and the Outstanding Comedy Actress Award, the second person to do so, and the first since Tina Fey did so for 30 Rock. Art, were you happy to see Phoebe Waller-Bridge get so much success at this year's Emmys?
I said it was a Fleabag type of night. That's what I said before it started, that's what I said during it, and that's what I said afterwards. I was surprised. What won? Did it win? Best Comedy? What won Best Comedy?
Yeah, it won Outstanding Comedy Series. It also ended up winning the Outstanding Directing for Comedy.
What did I tell you?
Which I hadn't mentioned.
Did you see his comments? Did you see the speech for the best win?
No. So Art and
hilarious.
Fernando both got to watch the show, but I missed the ceremony.
The dude who got the best director for the show, he is hilarious. He is so funny live. Like, wow. Between him and Maya Rudolph, I was like, you know what? You guys own the show for me.
Yeah.
After seeing, maybe it's just because Ken Jeong was in the middle of whatever he tried doing there, but he was really funny. And I told you something when it came into Succession beating out Thrones, for one thing. Thrones ended up winning the big one, and I know we'll talk about that in a bit. But there is a little bit of it, and I know I was late to the party as well, but I know a lot of people who have been like, yo, thank you for covering the show. And I was like, dude, thank the people who... It's been a word-of-mouth show like crazy. There are fans for this show. There are, British people who we know. Shout out Kai, who was telling me, he's like, yo, is it really this good? Because she's everywhere here. And it's one of those things that to him, she was so all over the place in the UK that he just decided to put it to the side. But it really is the real deal. And now that it's won everything... Zach, what did I say about you in Succession?
Which part of me in Succession? That I'm now the Succession hipster?
I feel like
I liked Succession before all of you liked Succession.
But and I'm not saying it to be the hipster. What I'm saying is, does it take so much of all of the acclaim? Takes away from the cute little tiny show that could, because it's no longer the new tiny show that could. Now it feels like it's not Veep yet.
Yeah.
But Veep is so Veep that she has to play. I know that's the persona she plays. But when she comes out,
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
And I know you didn't see it, but her whole bit when they came out to present the finale of Veep was she wanted everyone off the stage. Right? That's her character. And I kind of wonder, because like Phoebe also has a lot of big things. She had it with Netflix. Netflix pulled an Adidas Yeezy on her, if you remember, with Crashing. So she literally just, from what I see, Crashing just didn't work on Netflix, so she said, screw it, I'm going to go with Amazon and just cast the same people again and redo the show. That's what it really looks like to me. She's been in the Star Wars movie. She's writing a 007 film. She's set, and I love it, and I can't be more thankful of it. But there is almost an appeal that happened to Chance the Rapper and a lot of other people when he becomes so big that it takes away from that nice little... Look at this pocket that I can share for you.
This is a nice crowning moment for Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I think people like us who have enjoyed Fleabag and enjoyed her other work are really excited to see this all happening for her. The ultimate purpose of awards like this is to spotlight something that maybe needs a little bit of that spotlight, or that would benefit from more people knowing about it. So I'm glad that Fleabag is going to be a thing that more people are curious about and more people are interested in. But yeah, I do wonder what the next phase of Phoebe Waller-Bridge's career is, because it feels like she can kind of do anything next if she wants to.
She already had that. Now she has it. So this is one of those things. I always bring up the excerpt that was written for what's the K-pop band, the really big one?
BTS.
It was said, the excerpt on Apple Music was, and now that they have the stage, what's next? What did the Beatles do after Abbey Road? Like, it's that thing. What did, what's his name do after Thriller? Will they be even better at the peak of their career, or where they chance the big day? I don't know. I don't know what the next thing is. And
I mean, the thing with Phoebe is that she's already proven herself several times in that, Fleabag is great. I really like Crashing. Killing Eve is a series she created, and she's been getting a lot of positive buzz for that. I think she might have even won an Emmy last year for that. So, she's not a one-hit wonder.
Easily, no. I'm wondering what the fan base, if they're going to Rick and Morty it. Because there's always that fan base that goes above and beyond. Like, we were here first.
Yeah. I think one thing that sort of maybe prevents it from getting weirdly big or whatever is that she seems to be not interested in doing any more of Fleabag. It seems to be over. So
that's why I think makes it so cool. But if you have not seen Fleabag, holy moly, go see the hot priest-a-moly. Season 2 is incredible. It's one of the best scenes of the year. I'd put it at least half a decade. That seems really
Fernando,
good.
I've been seeing your reactions to it on Twitter. I was surprised you didn't make it what you've been watching.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah, I recently finished it. I watched it, and I was just like, I was blown away. That second, because I really like the first season, right?
Right, it's good.
And
it's good.
Yeah, but the second season.
Second season is like, oh, okay.
And it's so easy to watch.
Yeah, it's so easy to watch, dude. I accidentally watched it twice. I was like, what? What else did we have? That was like a big upset, big win. Before we get to the real...
the final season of Game of Thrones ended up winning Outstanding Drama Series. As you mentioned, it won over series like Bodyguard and Killing Eve and Pose and Succession. But it wasn't a sweep by any means. Peter Dinklage did end up winning another Best Supporting Actor award, but Succession took home the Outstanding Writing for a Drama Series award, and Julia Garner from Ozark somehow won Outstanding Supporting Actress over all 4 of the Game of Thrones ladies. I mean, to me, that's probably a case of them splitting the vote.
Yeah.
You know, with so many of them,
they cancel out. Yeah.
Yeah, considering that there's 4 of them, but that still is a bit of a stunner that Julia Garner won that award. But what did you think about Game of Thrones getting one on the way out and not necessarily dominating?
Well, I'm surprised that Benioff and Weiss showed up. That's it. That was the end of the sentence.
That was it. So I don't think, like, obviously in the program they only won drama and Peter Dinklage, but I think they still ended up with the most in terms of like the technical ones that they don't broadcast.
That doesn't get broadcast.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's seen on screen though, the Emilia Clarke hive. Man, that's the only reason I feel sorry for Julie. But hey, if she's on Ozark, I'm pretty sure she'll be able to handle the Twitter backlash that's coming away.
Yeah,
it was insane.
I mean, I think the thing is that with Thrones that we've talked about before is that, you know, you can say whatever you want about the drop in the quality of the scripts in the final season, but that's a show
was
that.
There.
Yeah.
The production is outstanding, and that's a lot of what these awards award. So, you know, it's not really surprising to see it get that much love. And I do wonder if, to some extent, you kind of just got to award it for being this huge thing that everybody was paying attention to. You know, I think Game of Thrones was unique in the way that it captured the public attention, and there's something to be said about that too in a time when we're you know, subscribed to 20 different streaming services and plus cable, and like, you know, it's one of the few shows left where everybody would stop and watch it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yep.
One, since I know you didn't see it live, Fernando can attest to this. Oh my goodness, is it funny watching live TV, which I don't usually do, and seeing all the commercials before what I do watch. Streaming service galore. It was like the Super Bowl ads for Netflix versus Apple versus
I don't know if you caught this.
WWE.
I don't know if you caught, like, towards the beginning, there was a bit where this guy came out and he was like announcing like a boxing match, and he was like, it's $12.99 Netflix versus $7.99 Disney Plus or something like that.
Search up who was the guy who was commentating, because I know you were confused. You're like, who's the voice? There was a guy commentating, and you know the actor. I'm blanking on his name right now. It was like he's a comedian, and they pretty much just had him as no host. So he's a commentator. They would cut to him. He had a lot of misses. But he would just commentate over when people were walking up or whatever. And he was just a comedian. He was doing it on the spot, like holy moly announcers. Besides all of those commercials, and I'm blinking on the other thing over here, it was without a doubt going to go to Game of Thrones as their like goodbye, their farewell, their send off. But at least it did go to the people who deserved it the most.
It is a little bit interesting, though, that even though ostensibly the Game of Thrones award is like kind of like, you were so great, here's one last one on the way out.
It is.
Veep, on the other hand, didn't get that treatment. Another long-standing love of the Emmys. And they, in that case, they were more looking to the fresh blood of Fleabag. But it does feel a little bit like there's kind of like a tide shifting in the awards right now, where we're getting sort of like a new era of what are the dominant shows. Bill Hader ended up winning another Outstanding Comedy Actor, and I'm fully in support of that. It feels like Barry is kind of going to be one of the dominant comedies for the next few years.
Yes. I love this speech too. Please listen to the speech when you have a chance. He won one for, I think it was for acting, and they asked him, when you direct yourself, he shouted out Hero, he shouted out all the other great directors that he has, but he says, when I'm directing myself, how do I win this award? And he says, I always go to my co-creator. I don't know his name, but you know, he always pops out in the front. He goes to him and he says, let's move on. And he says that, and the let's move on got him this. Got him the award. That's how he directed himself. The second opinion in the back. And I was like, I see the Bill Hader hype, dude. This year it really came out of nowhere. Like this year, on
he's
Twitter,
kind of the internet's favorite right now.
He is the internet's favorite. Like it's huge. And then that picture of him and Phoebe when they both came out, incredible. I want to wrap up the Game of Thrones talk by tossing it to Fernando in a tweet that he actually said. One of your final tweets that you remember it on Game of Thrones about rewatching it and regardless of what you think about the last season, dude, it's grand. It changed the game in ways. We were all looking forward to it, and think whatever you will. I cannot wait to rewatch it again.
Yeah,
I really can't wait to rewatch it again one day.
Yeah, and I will say that like I kind of feel for the most part it wasn't a very strong field of shows that it was up against.
Yeah,
I haven't heard great things about Bodyguard. I know that I haven't seen the second season of Killing Eve, but the buzz around it has been that it's not as good as the first season. I haven't seen Pose yet. I know a lot of people love Pose, but I don't know if the buzz around that is necessarily like
big
best drama show on TV.
Exactly.
The only show that I love is Succession on there, so I would have been happy to see Succession take
beat it. You know, if that would have beat it.
That might happen considering it took writing. You know, next year. We'll see. Although, speaking of Pose, Billy Porter ended up winning lead actor over Jason Bateman, Kit Harington, Bob Odenkirk. A lot of people were really happy about that. Jodie Comer won lead actress over Emilia Clarke, Viola Davis, and Laura Linney. But the real thing that we need to get to is the outstanding limited series. Amy Adams blanked again. She can't win an Oscar, can't win an Emmy. No luck for Sharp Objects. I didn't really have a problem with that. Michelle Williams took the lead actress. Jarrell Jerome won Outstanding Lead Actor in When They See Us. I just want to read this list of people he was nominated against. Jared Harris, Sam Rockwell, Mahershala Ali, Hugh Grant, and Benicio del Toro.
And they all
should be an honor for him just to be listed among those guys, but it shows just how great that performance was that he beat them all.
His name gets announced, right? And in all of the other ones, shout out Margaret Qualley for getting nominated for an Emmy. She was mad when she didn't win it, and other people were mad when they didn't win it. But Jarrell's name was called, and Sam Rockwell and Mahershala and Benicio all got up, and they would have. That was the name they wanted to hear over theirs. That was really cool, and I was talking to this to Fernando earlier, specifically just so I could say I was talking to this with Fernando earlier. I really wish it did say Ava, Emmy-winning director. I really wish it did say I tweeted it.
Right.
Emmy-winning.
So, whereas Jarrell Jerome won Outstanding Lead Actor in just about all of the series categories where there's Outstanding Limited or Writing or Directing, those awards went to Chernobyl over When They See Us.
And what'd you say?
Everybody here is a big fan of both of those shows. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, now we will continue.
Say you're Kanye.
No. I need to go last on this.
Okay. I wanted to see Emmy winner When They See Us called. I wanted to see that. It can still be said. That said, and I was telling him, I still think this is real.
Yeah.
It should have won. But even if all three would have taken it as it should have been, I still would have. What we still would have been talking about is Jarrell's win.
For sure.
If all three win, we're excited for all of them. But we're extra happy of the Jarrell win. So I'm not saying that it makes up for this buffoonery that happened, but Jarrell's win is special. Fernando, please say what you told me and why. What would have been really cool if it won?
Yeah, so I was very mixed with it because I really like Chernobyl too. But
it's a good show. It's a great show.
It's overall like the best thing I've seen this year. Still, I think. So I would have been so amazing and beautiful to hear When They See Us win the overall best limited series, because I know for a fact the 5 men would have went on stage with Ava, and that would have just been the highlight of the night, I think, for me.
It's the name of the show.
Yeah.
Show them.
Yeah.
See them. But okay, Emmys, okay. Golden Globes. This is your one chance to not be a damn joke. Yep. We watched you through The Martian comedian, whatever that was. this is your one chance to not mess up. That, from what I know, that's the last big TV thing. That's the last big look at the Twitter moments and see them. That's the last big one that can do it. I'm not saying do it because it's the right thing to do. I'm doing it because it literally is the best show that came out on TV, in my opinion, and it's the one show I will be remembering. That's what I said. The writing, the directing, I'll be remembering hers for years to come. With Chernobyl, sometimes a comedy. Yes, I said this to you guys. I have it in my notes. This isn't bitterness because of afterwards. I had to search it up, and I asked you. I was like, "Do you know it was the writer from The Hangover?"
Yeah.
Hey, shout out The Hangover. The alums seem to be doing well. One of them got the Venice Award this year with Joker.
Yep.
After directing The Hangover, the writer of The
Hangover guys get serious.
got an Emmy. Sheesh, The Hangover alum is pretty crazy.
Shout out Craig Mazin and Todd Phillips.
Yep, and even look at the cast. One of them's directing now.
Yeah.
Directing. So shout out Chernobyl, but Zach, take it away.
All right, I'm gonna spin this around. I'm gonna turn our car around a little bit. I was really blown away by When They See Us. I think Ava DuVernay is an incredible director. I've been talking about her stuff for a while. When I compare When They See Us and Chernobyl, there are things that I see in Chernobyl that make me understand why I think it ultimately won. And I think it's that there's a lot of very un-TV-like elements to When They See Us. Whether that's the aspects of the time jumping, the way that it kind of... Where some characters are recast, and then you have the Jerome episode, which kind of changes the structure of it. It's a little bit more of taking chances and experimenting with the form in a way that I think ultimately is probably why Chernobyl took home this award, because Chernobyl is TV the way that TV is quote unquote supposed to be, where you watch an episode and you want to watch the next episode because it's going to give you a lot of that same feeling. I thought Chernobyl was probably the best series in terms of watching it with ease and being captivated by it. When They See Us rightfully feels a little more like homework, and I think that's ultimately it's beautifully done, and I think it has much more artistic flair than Chernobyl. But I think that's ultimately why Chernobyl took home those awards. I see that I'm unpopular, though. So did you like that Bandersnatch took home the best TV movie?
What was up with that category?
What was up with that? Did you see how even they were laughing?
Yeah.
Because when I made the video, I sat through an hour-long podcast where he said, "I'm surprised we got this funded."
Yeah.
And now he's holding gold, or whatever an Emmy's made out of.
What? I feel like I'm not sure this qualifies as a movie. You know? Why?
That's why I take your When They See Us.
Why does this get the benefit of having like a bunch of additional scenes that other shows don't?
5 hours worth. It's 5 hours worth.
I think this is a little bit like when the OJ documentary won Best Documentary at the Oscars.
I see no problem with that.
People were
I
like,
see no problem with that one,
this is TV. What?
I see no problem with that one, though. I am for it because you and I have always been the biggest things. We make our best of. It's not split between.
I mean, I think in that category with the Oscars, the OJ movie was the best documentary, and in this category of TV movie, Bandersnatch was the best of the ones that was nominated. I just don't know why it was nominated in that category.
What else was nominated?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but
the movie,
Deadwood the movie,
Brexit, King Lear, and My Dinner with Irv, which I've never heard of.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't speak to them, so
yeah.
Congratulations, Netflix. Black Mirror.
All right. So, any other thoughts on the Emmys? I know both of you guys watched it. What did you? It turns out that it is a record low for the ratings. Yeah. Were you surprised, or did you think it was a good ceremony?
Just real quick, your idea on the no host.
I think they should get one.
They need to get one next year. They need to get one next year, and it needs to be Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, she needs to host one of these sooner or later.
She's too good.
Yeah.
She's too good. She comes out, and I'm like, dude, she's married to Paul Thomas Anderson. Can you imagine their dinners? Can you?
All right, so those are our thoughts on the Emmys. Let us know what awards you liked, what awards you didn't like. Leave a comment, send us an email, shoot us a tweet. Do any of those things. We're going to move on to our final segment, the New to See, where we give you our picks for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Art, what's your recommendation?
You can see all 6 episodes of one of the funniest sketch shows at home on HBO. Black Woman Sketch Show. Is that what it was called? I keep mixing up with
Lady?
You know what it is. If you go on HBO,
Black
it
Lady
is one of
Sketch
the
Show.
funniest shows that you can catch. I'm going to pull it up right here because I had it pulled up. In terms of theaters, I haven't been in a while, so I am going to have to say, go see Ad Astra with me because I've yet to see it. So I'm very curious to see what all the hype is about. It's very rare that I'm behind with one, but I'm a little excited too, you know? It's like, wow, okay, let me get hyped for this.
Everybody's been talking about it.
Yeah, so Ad Astra in theaters and a Black Lady sketch show.
Nice,
Fernando,
nice.
what is your pick for the week?
Yeah, theaters is pretty dry until the beginning of October with Joker. So I guess I'll recommend Hustlers because I also saw that and I was very surprised by Hustlers. Really enjoyed it. Go see a great JLo performance. But other than that, some anniversaries or like special screenings that are happening. The Shawshank Redemption's playing tomorrow and Wednesday. Or it probably has already passed. But and then The Shining is playing in a couple of theaters because Doctor Sleep
That's
is
interesting.
being released soon, and they're showing like a sneak peek of the movie afterwards. And The Shining's great. I love it. So those are my recommendations.
Sick. And Zach.
Awesome. So I gave you a recommendation at the top of the show for Undone. I really would like to. I'd like you to report back next week, having watched it.
I'll report tomorrow morning, probably.
There's also another show called Unbelievable that just popped up on Netflix.
Tell me.
You seen it?
I saw 30 seconds after I came back from TIFF. I was like, what? Dude, no, I just got in bed. We had to change it. It's got us too mad.
It's your girl. It's Toni Collette.
I know, but before she came on screen, I was furious.
Oh, it's a really interesting
before bed?
show.
You can't see that before bed.
Yeah, it's not a show you want to watch right before bed, as are most shows that are primarily involve rape, I would say. Yeah. But this is a really interesting show because it's sort of about a rape investigation led by these two women, played by Merritt Wever and Toni Collette. Although both Merritt Wever and Toni Collette don't appear until the second episode of this show. The entire first episode is centered on the victim of the first crime in the series of crimes that we follow. And that is Caitlin Deaver's character. Caitlin Deaver, who was just great in Booksmart earlier this year. It's a much different side to her, playing the victim of this heinous crime who has to be subjected to all the undignified elements of a police search and the process of recounting her story over and over again. And what's so stunning is, I think if you think about movies, there's so many movies and TV shows that have borrowed or used the trope of the raped girl or the raped and murdered girl. And for all those shows that do that, there's so many things that you never have seen depicted that are depicted in Unbelievable, because it takes you step by step through what happens to the victim, how they go through the process of reporting it, how through the process of reporting it, things can become misconstrued and ultimately work against the victim. And I think it does a really unbelievable job, pardon the pun. Yeah. It does a really great job of illustrating how sometimes it's not even people with bad intentions, but just crossed wires and stressful situations that cause bad things to happen and for women to have a tough time reporting crimes like rape. The immense contrast between the way that the male police officers go about talking to Caitlin Deaver in the first episode and how Merritt Wever shows up in the second episode is just, it's stunning. It's kind of made me emotional even, and it's just like police procedure.
Yes.
It's
like police procedure, not a police procedure show, like the tutorial for police procedures.
The empathy really is what strikes you about the show.
Yeah.
You can, and I think that's so much conveyed through the performances. Merritt Weaver is so good on the show. I'm still only 3 episodes in, but I can't wait to finish it. I can highly recommend it from just those 3 episodes.
Yeah. Someone tweeted me about it today, and I was like, I'm gonna watch it during the day, but I do want to catch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
But that's about all for this week's show. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd at ZShevich. That's at ZSHEVICH. And check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/multiplexshow. Art. Oh, yeah, Fernando, let me go to you first.
Yeah,
where can people find more from you?
You can follow me on Twitter at border_logic to see all my great content that I post there. And just keep up with the A to Z website. That's www.theatzshow.com. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Dope. Art, where can people find more from you?
You can find me on the A to Z Show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We also got some Let Me Explain stuff over on Twitter and Letterboxd and YouTube. I was like, what's the last one?
Yeah.
The YouTube channel. But, of course, you can catch me here every week and all of us, on the Intercut Podcast.
Yes, you can listen to every episode of the Intercut Podcast on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on Spotify, on your favorite podcatcher. Mine happens to be a little app called Overcast. And then make sure you're subscribed not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/IntercutPod, where you can catch our bright smiling faces as we go through the latest in entertainment. Find new episodes of Intercut every Friday and supplemental episodes dropping all the time. Please leave us a comment, like the video, consider heading over to iTunes and giving us a juicy 5-star review. You know, leave us a comment, compliment my hair, compliment Fernando just on being part of the show. You know,
On the audio one, really where you can't see it. Do that. That'd be the funniest thing. Can you imagine being a new listener going like, the hair? What? There's a
So like our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages, all of them are at Intercut Pod to get updates throughout the week from Art, from Fernando, from me, from all of our guests here on Intercut. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time. Oh, you're such a fan of Succession? Well, name your favorite 3 Roy children.